Have you ever noticed something strange? Your farnace ends. Nothing dramatic happened. Nobody yelled. Nobody insulted you. But hours later, you're still replaying it in your head. The words, the pauses, the facial expressions, that one sentence you wish you had said differently. And somehow, a 5-minute interaction becomes a 2-hour mental movie. Why does your mind keep returning to conversations long after everyone else has forgotten them? And more importantly, what is your brain actually trying to do? Because the answer is not what most people think. Most people assume replaying conversations is simply overthinking. Jack's a bad habit, a lack of confidence, an inability to let things go. But if that were true, your brain wouldn't spend so much energy doing it. The human brain is expensive. It consumes enormous amounts of energy every day. So when it repeatedly returns to the same memory, it usually believes that memory contains something important. The question is, important for what? Think about the last conversation you replayed. Maybe it happened at work. A colleague responded differently than expected. Maybe it happened with a friend. Their tone felt slightly off. Or maybe it happened with someone you cared deeply about. And now you're analyzing every detail, not because you're curious, because something feels unfinished, like your mind refuses to close the file. This is where many people become frustrated with themselves. They tell themselves, why am I still thinking about this? Why can't I move on? Why do other people seem so normal? But what you're experiencing often isn't random anxiety. It's a psychological process, one that has existed for a very long time. Humans evolved in groups. For most of history, survival depended on social belonging. Being accepted by your tribe wasn't merely comforting. It was necessary. Rejection could mean danger. Isolation could mean death. Your brain never completely forgot that lesson. Even today, your nervous system treats social experiences as highly important information, which means a conversation isn't just a conversation. To your brain, it's data. Data about acceptance. Data about status. Data about connection. Data about safety. And that's where replaying begins. But there's another layer most people never notice. Sometimes you aren't replaying the conversation because of what happened. You're replaying it because of what didn't happen. The response you hoped for. The validation you expected. The clarity you wanted. The certainty you never received. Psychologists sometimes refer to this tendency as closure seeking. The brain dislikes unfinished patterns. It prefers complete stories. Clear endings. Definite answers. When something remains ambiguous, your mind keeps returning to it, not because it enjoys suffering, because it wants resolution. Imagine reading a mystery novel and discovering the final chapter is missing. You wouldn't stop thinking about it. Your brain would keep searching for the ending. Conversations can work the same way, especially emotional ones, especially important ones, also, especially personal ones. This becomes even stronger if you tend to be self-aware, or highly conscientious, or sensitive to social cues. These traits are often misunderstood. People assume sensitivity means weakness. In reality, sensitivity often means your brain notices more information, more subtle expressions, more shifts in tone, more emotional signals. The advantage is deeper understanding. The downside is more material to analyze afterward. Your brain collects details. Then later, when you're alone, it begins processing them, almost like a detective reviewing evidence. The problem is that the detective never knows when to leave the case. And that's when replaying becomes rumination. Not learning. Not reflection. Just looping. A useful way to understand this is through a simple mental model. Imagine your mind as a prediction machine. Its primary job is not happiness. Its primary job is prediction. Every social interaction teaches your brain something about the future. How people respond. What creates connection? What creates distance? When you replay a conversation, your brain is often updating its prediction model. It's asking, what did that mean? What should I expect next time? What did I miss? This process is normal, but sometimes the prediction machine gets stuck. Instead of collecting information once and moving on, it keeps reopening the same file, searching for certainty that doesn't exist. Because human interactions are messy, and certainty is often impossible. So what can you actually do when this happens? Not to suppress it, not to force positivity, but to work with the psychology behind it. The first principle is simple. Name the task your brain is trying to complete. When a conversation keeps replaying, ask yourself, what question am I trying to answer? Be specific. Maybe the question is, do they like me? Did I embarrass myself? Did I disappoint them? Your brain often loops because the question remains hidden. Bringing the question into awareness reduces mental noise, because uncertainty becomes visible. Instead of feeling like a cloud, it becomes a sentence. The second principle is separate facts from interpretations. This sounds simple, but it changes everything. Facts are what happened. Interpretations are the stories attached to them. For example, a friend replied with a short message. That's a fact. They're upset with me. That's an interpretation. Your brain naturally fills gaps, sometimes accurately, sometimes not. Separating facts from assumptions helps calm the prediction machine, because it no longer treats guesses as evidence. The third principle is give your brain a conclusion, not a perfect answer. A temporary conclusion. Many people wait for certainty before moving on. The problem is that certainty rarely arrives. Instead, tell yourself, based on what I know right now, this is my best understanding. This provides psychological closure. Your brain stops searching quite so aggressively because the file has somewhere to rest. The fourth principle is redirect analysis into action. The brain learns more from behavior than endless thinking. If the conversation revealed something useful, use it. Maybe next time you'll ask a clearer question. Maybe you'll express yourself more directly. Maybe you'll communicate a feeling instead of hiding it. Action converts mental energy into learning. Rumination keeps energy trapped. Reflection turns energy into growth. The difference is movement. And finally, remember that not every conversation deserves unlimited access to your mind. This may sound obvious, but emotionally, it can be difficult. Some interactions feel important simply because they triggered uncertainty, not because they actually matter. Your attention is valuable. Your brain treats attention like a spotlight. Whatever stays under the spotlight feels significant. Sometimes the healthiest choice is recognizing that the conversation has already taught you everything it can. Anything beyond that is repetition, not insight. When you put all of this together, a different picture emerges. Replaying conversations isn't evidence that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that your brain cares about connection. It cares about understanding people. Quite part of longing. It cares about belonging. The problem isn't the replay itself. The problem is when the replay becomes a room with no exit. A useful mental model is this. Imagine every conversation as a book. Reflection means reading the chapter, learning from it, then placing it back on the shelf. Rumination means reading the same page over and over, hoping new words will appear. But they never do. The page doesn't change. Only your attention stays trapped. And perhaps that's the deeper realization. Your mind isn't replaying conversations because it wants to torture you. It's trying to protect you, predict the future, avoid mistakes, maintain connection. Those are deeply human goals. The challenge is knowing when the lesson is complete. Because wisdom isn't learning how to analyze every interaction forever. Wisdom is recognizing when you've learned enough and allowing the conversation to become part of your past, not your permanent present. So the next time you find yourself replaying a conversation at midnight, listen carefully. Beneath all the noise, your brain is usually asking a simple question. What can I learn from this? Answer that question honestly. Then let the chapter close. Because peace doesn't come from finding perfect certainty. Sometimes it comes from trusting that you already understand enough.